There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. It is so, oh no, they said there. Good afternoon, everyone. It is so good to see everyone here today at Kennedy King College, an amazing institution in an incredible community. And I don't have to tell that to all of you that are here today, much less to our representative, Sonia Harper, or any other leader that has spent any amount of time in the Inglewood community or the South Side community of Chicago or our own beautiful city of Chicago for that matter. As Chancellor of City Colleges, I'm pleased, honestly pleased, to host all of you here. This is one of our beloved institutions. We have 7 beloved institutions across our city, and it's timely and necessary that we're here for this critical announcement from our federal partners. Today we'll hear from Senator Dick Durbin and Deputy Secretary of Commerce Don Graves about the federal government's commitment to technology access. We couldn't be more delighted. Today, a computer and internet access are staples. They're equivalent of a paper and pen of decades ago. The ability to use technology is absolutely essential to accessing resources in our communities, and that includes education, and that includes employment. We understand that at City Colleges of Chicago. That's why we believe there's no better place for this announcement than here in the Inglewood community at Kennedy King College. City Colleges is committed to equity and access. Our vision is that we are the most accessible higher education engine of socioeconomic mobility and racial equity within our city. We're dedicated to removing the very real barriers that Chicagoans confront to college access, success, and career and life well-being. Before the pandemic, we did a survey that told us that more than 60% of our students surveyed were food or housing insecure. One of the main realizations during the pandemic, in addition to that, is that significant technology access challenges were being faced by our students. That's why we doubled down on tech equity as a key part of achieving our goals. That's why we dedicated federal HERF dollars to support loaner laptops for our students. That's why we raised $3 million in philanthropic funding so far to create a tech equity program. I know some of the tech equity team here today and helped put this day together, and so please wave. Thank you to all of you for the work that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. We heard from our students today how much they appreciate you. And when we hear the appreciation to you that are doing the work, I want to make sure it's also shared with those that are bringing the resources to do the work, whether that's at the state level with Representative Sonia Harper, whether that's at the federal level with Senator Dick Durbin and Deputy Commerce Secretary Graves. We've been able to learn a laptop program and heard from students how important that has been. We're committed in the city's digital equity plan to expand our digital literacy programming, and we've started that today. We heard great testimony from students about the impact that's making on their lives, the empowerment that they're getting from the use of digital technology tools. And we're going to grow that work with our community partners like Kofi and others. That's why we've been systematically growing our technology programs for the community, including this staple, this centerpiece, the Kennedy King Tech Launchpad, where we have directed companies that want to work with us in the tech space. You know where you start? You start at Kennedy King College. You start in the Inglewood community. That's where you start to do your meaningful work in technology. And so this Launchpad, led by Lynette, our Tech Launchpad leader, is really something special, okay? That's why we're proud of our National Science Foundation funded Engineers Pathways program that has gone from serving 25 students in 2018 to more than 400 students this past spring. And we're going to keep growing those efforts. That's why we're proudly working with corporate partners to expand our cloud computing, machine learning programs, and work-based learning opportunities. That's why this summer we hired more than 90 students this summer to work as ambassadors and share their love for technology with young people all across our city. It's all of our responsibilities to make sure that our communities are connected so they can support themselves, their families, so they can thrive, so they can realize their dreams. And we also, as I said earlier, understand very clearly that this work is an investment and requires an investment. And that's why I want to wholeheartedly, on behalf of those of us that are here today, those of us that are hearing from us, and those of us that are just in our communities trying to advance this morning, I want to thank Senator Durbin. I want to thank Deputy Secretary Graves for coming to Chicago, for coming to City Colleges in Chicago, for coming with the message that you're bringing that is good news. And we always like to welcome good news in the city of Chicago, and particularly on the south side of the city of Chicago. So with that, I have the honor, the privilege, and pleasure to introduce somebody that has been a true champion to Chicagoans, to the south side, to the whole state of Illinois, that truly believes in people and the power of people, and makes sure that Illinois is well represented in the U.S. Senate, well heard in the U.S. Senate, a constant champion for City Colleges of Chicago, our Senator Dick Durbin.
Well, it's an honor to be here today, and let me start off by saying that I was born and raised 300 miles away from here in a town called East St. Louis, Illinois, and grew up there and saw the city change, new challenges arrive, and desperate need for help. Juan Salgado is an amazing man. He's not only the chancellor of the city colleges, but before that happened, he had responsibilities in building some of the most important schools in the city of Chicago. I found that he was a hardworking person, an honest person, a talented person, but then I heard something that I didn't know before, and it really struck me as important when it comes to Juan. When he was a college student, he took on as a project to go down 100 miles south of his campus, more than 100 miles south of his campus, and to study the poverty in East St. Louis, Illinois, my hometown. That he would care that much to do that and make that part of his learning experience told me an awful lot. What I've seen from him during that time and since is he is a man with a caring heart. I thank you, Juan, for your leadership at the City College. He deserves a round of applause. Sonia Harper, thank you for being here. We're glad to have you. We need your help in Springfield. We'll do the best we can in Washington. Together we can do some great things for city colleges and for people who need help in hand. I want to thank all those who gathered here. What we're celebrating today is the vision of several people in Washington. One of them was a man named Joe Biden, President of the United States. And he decided that to make America a better nation, we had to extend learning and education in the field of internet and technology. And so we've embarked on a project to bring resources and opportunities to places just like Inglewood, just like Kennedy King College, where people will see a change in their lives if they're given a chance to learn. And you're never too old to learn, are you? No, never too old to learn. And we went into the classroom here at the Learning Center and heard stories. I remember your story because we're going on a boat trip together. I tell you, the story really touched me because you said you're a grandmother. Is that correct? Yes, but nevertheless, you want to stay smarter than those grandkids, don't you? And you got to keep pedaling to do that, don't you? Many times they surprise the heck out of you how much they know, or how much they can teach us. But we aren't going to stand to the back and let them get that far ahead of us. And when I heard your story and how what it meant to you personally and to your friends, it really touched my heart. And for the people in the room who were ambassadors, I don't know if some of them made it over here for this presentation, but I thank them for what they're doing, reaching out to really introduce tough concepts till people understand. And Amadou, is he here? There's Amadou in the back. What a life's journey you've had, young man. And there were times when you told us you almost gave up, but you didn't. And here at Kennedy King, you found people who are willing to work with you and it lets you have something which nobody can take for granted these days. The opportunity to use your laptop at home, to learn at home, not to have to go off someplace and sit by a business with a big Wi-Fi, but someplace where you can learn at home and use your Zoom classes to make sure you're learning that much more. To think what you've been through in your life is an inspiration to me, and tell me the difference it makes in people's lives just to have this opportunity. So what we're trying to do is to make sure we extend the reach of the internet in every direction in Illinois. There was a moment in our history in the United States when there were real haves and have-nots. Go back to 1930s, and particularly in inner city areas, but also in rural small town areas on the farms. And one of the reasons they were held back in that time was they didn't have electricity. They didn't have electricity. Hard to imagine how you'd live without it. People did for years. But this was in the 20th century, and these farms didn't have electricity. Along came a man named Franklin Delano Roosevelt, President of the United States, and he said, I'm going to reach electricity all over America. We're going to modernize farming, and we're going to bring people out of poverty in rural areas. I've met people, they're past now, but I've met them who said, I'll never forget the day when the lights came on in our house. The first time we realized we had electricity, and it means so many different things to so many different people. Well, the same thing is true today when it comes to the internet. The reach of Wi-Fi, the reach of the internet is bringing people into the 21st century so that they can live and learn and kids have a chance. How are you going to attract a business to a neighborhood if it doesn't have Wi-Fi? How are you going to keep a business in a town if it doesn't have Wi-Fi? How are you going to expect your kids to be as good as other kids if they don't have laptops at work at home and have to wait till they get back to school to start learning again? That all changes when we make the investments this administration has brought forward. And that's why I'm here today to be part of that celebration, because along the way, I voted for these bills proudly because I knew they'd make a difference in Inglewood, Chicago, East St. Louis, all over the United States of America. We're lucky to have a man here today who has quite a life story. Don Graves is the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Commerce. It says here that he is the 19th person in the history of the United States to hold that position. So we're really fortunate to have him here today. He's a graduate of Williams College, but equally, if not more important, he's a graduate of Georgetown University Law Center, where I happen to go to school too. So I can brag on it a little bit. But the fact that you would come from Washington to be here today and make this presentation means an awful lot to us. Mr. Secretary, please take the podium.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Well, that's a little bit louder, maybe. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, it is a good afternoon because we are in Inglewood. We're in Chicago, and it's not 100 degrees out. But that's for another discussion for another day. Mr. Chancellor, thank you for hosting us today. Thank you for everything that you do every single day to improve the lives of so many people. You and the entire team are changing lives. You're making it easier for folks to live the lives that they want, not the lives that they're forced to live. And Senator, I can't overstate the leadership that he has shown throughout his career. You have been a true champion, not just for the people of Illinois, but for the people of this country. It is an honor to be able to share the stage with you. So thank you for everything that you're doing. State Rep, thank you for what you're doing in Springfield. Thank you for representing this district so ably. Thank you for being here today. I couldn't be more pleased to be here with all of you. We had a wonderful chance, as the Senator discussed, to meet so many of the folks who are taking part in what Kennedy King is offering through the Launchpad program, celebrating the ways that people are able to take charge, take hold of their lives. One of the things that I say a lot about, all the time about is we all have hopes and we have dreams. When you're a kid, you see something, you have this dream, you want to be an astronaut, or you want to create something, you want to run a company, and then somewhere along the line, you realize that that's not in the cards for you. You lose that dream. we as a society, we as a people, hold our kids down and say, no, you can't do that. You can't have that dream because that's not an opportunity that you should keep. You have to do this to get along. That can't be something that we in the United States agree with. We have to help make sure that every American who has a hope and a dream has the opportunity to live a life of dignity. That's what this is all about. And more than 2 years ago, as the senator mentioned, when President Biden took office, we were emerging from that horrible pandemic that took so many lives and changed everyone's life. And it forced millions of Americans to go online. But the problem was that while so many folks were able to, I'm not going to work from the office anymore or my workplace, I'm just going to work from home. Or they were able to expand their business presence online. Or they were able to make a doctor's appointment virtually. You could get on your tablet and talk to your doctor. Or you could get your education. I'm not going to go to the college or the university. I'm just going to talk with my professors online. There are millions of Americans who couldn't do that simply because of where they live or how much it cost or the training and education that they had, digital education that they had. So when we talk about hopes and dreams, we have to talk about that opportunity, and that's what we're talking about today. We know that internet access, that high-speed internet, that technology, the laptops, the devices, the training, that's not a luxury anymore. Maybe that was back in the 1990s, beginning of the 2000s, but today it's an absolute necessity. And President Biden, when he took office, made a promise. He said that every American should be able to access and afford a high-speed internet connection. And thanks to Senator Durbin and Senator Duckworth and so many of their colleagues in the House and the Senate, we're able to deliver in a really, really big way. The bipartisan infrastructure law and the support of the senator has led us to today, where we're making the largest single investment in the nation's history in high-speed internet to help us close, finally, that digital divide, to make sure that every single person in this country has access to high-speed internet. And it's not something you have to go to McDonald's or the library or Kennedy King to get access, to sit in the parking lot and get access. You'll have it in the comfort of your own home. I know that you're happy that you have it now. So unfortunately, there's still about 8.5 million locations in this country where you don't have access to high-speed internet. And in Illinois, that's about 240,000 locations, completely unserved. This isn't like the high-speed internet is a little bit limited, so you're waiting a little bit long. You have no internet whatsoever. We have to make sure that we can allow every single person in Illinois and around the country to have access to the vital telehealth care that so many of our seniors and others need. That the small businesses that could only sell around the corner can't just sell across the city, can't just sell across the state or across the country. They can now sell to Senegal. They can sell to Indonesia. They can sell wherever it is that they want. And that young student, I can't tell you how many parents I talked to during the pandemic. I'm sure many of you either talked to someone or were parents yourselves who were facing this challenge. They had 3-4 kids, and they're saying, well, everyone's going virtual. Maybe I have a device. Maybe I even have limited internet connection, but I only have enough bandwidth for one of my kids to actually go to school on any day, because you can't have all 3 or 4 kids on the computer trying to use that same internet. How can we allow our parents to have to make that choice of deciding which kid is going to go to school on a given day because you only have internet access? Well, that is changing with this law. Illinois is receiving more than $1 billion with this program to ensure that everyone has access. those billions of dollars aren't just going to make sure that we're building connections. It's also making sure that we're creating thousands of new, high-quality, good-paying, family-sustaining jobs all across this state and all across the country. And it's on us, and Mr. Chancellor, I know that you and Lynette and the team here are going to be helping us do it, to make sure that everyone has the training and the support that they need so they can get those jobs that we're creating, the tens and hundreds of thousands of jobs all across the country. And that's why the Tech Launchpad is playing such a big role, ensuring that we're building a telecommunications workforce. So yes, it's going to take folks who are learning about cybersecurity. It's going to take folks who know how to lay the fiber and train seniors and juniors and everybody else on how to use these new tools. And we have to make sure that we're building that tech workforce that's diverse, that represents all of America, not just some of America. We need to make sure that we're including women, people of color, people from underserved and underrepresented communities. It's not just a matter of fairness. This isn't about, oh, we have to do something because socially required. No, it is a matter of our economy. If we don't make sure that we're bringing everybody along in every community, our economy is not going to be successful going forward. We have to succeed right now because we are in a global competition. We have to bridge the gap between the haves and the have-nots. We have to expand broadband, high-speed internet infrastructure and access to every part of the country. And the Biden-Harris administration, with the support of the senator, is making it a reality once and again, proving that there's no limit to what this country can do if we put our minds to it. Throughout history, there have only been a few of these opportunities. The senator talked about rural electrification. We talked about the interstate highway system. There's only been a few instances where we as a society have come together and said, we're not going to let another day go by without us changing the way that we're going to connect every person in this country. We had that opportunity to do that in the 20th century, and now is our chance to do it in the 21st century so that every American can live a life of dignity. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Mr. Chancellor, for everything that you're doing here at all of the colleges. Senator, thank you for everything that you've done to give us the power to connect every person in the country. That's what we're about to do. So I look forward to seeing you all, and maybe some of you can come to DC and help us with cybersecurity and infrastructure, and maybe even helping the senator and I figure out what we're doing to make this country a better place. But thank you so much for everything you do.